Bike's all torn apart. Of course, I am doing a couple different things. Cutting and sectioning one of our Hayako stroker pipes. I went ahead and machined this head down here. Yeah, big boost port, has some potential. All really good tools, all rebuildable, all serve a different purpose. Anybody who's just got a Dremel saying, oh, we do full porting services, you can't really do anything with the Dremel. It's not a porting tool. As you guys can see that, this cylinder is just destroyed. Fab up the exhaust once the exhaust is fabbed up.
We're never gonna use
because
these.
Paul's like, oh, these would be great for oil changes on scooters.
Oh, yeah.
Turn on the light over here. Okay, so here's where we're at. Bike's all torn apart. Of course, I am doing a couple different things. Took the stock exhaust off, or not the stock, I'm sorry, but the Prima hanging up over there, and I am cutting and sectioning one of our Hayako stroker pipes in the name of research. So probably gonna do something like this around at the bottom. I think, so on the dyno, since it was making peak power around 6,500, I think I wanna keep it with kind of a pipe made for more grunt and bottom end. So gonna do something like this, get it to the cylinder. Went ahead, I'll show you guys. Went ahead and machined this head down here. So the squish was really loose, I would say. It was like, well, it didn't even measure on my solder. My solder is 2.25. So it didn't even touch the solder. So I'm gonna guess it's probably around 2.5, somewhere in there. So I went ahead and machined this whole surface down to bring the squish up. I'm sitting about 1.3 right now. Squish is 1.3, which is still giant. But the cylinder is, I also have to keep in mind compression, right? Because as you machine this, it's getting closer and closer to the head, reducing this amount of volume here in the cylinder. So we have to keep in mind that when we machine this, we also have to watch the compression to make sure it doesn't get too high. I'm trying to shoot for like 140. Right now I'm sitting at 120, but the cylinder is pretty bad. So if it's around 120 with a cylinder that's completely scored up, you know, it could end up jumping to 135 or something like that with a new cylinder. What I'm gonna do is I have brand new cylinders. I'm gonna take one out, I'm gonna port it, clean it up. I'm not gonna just timing at this point, just kind of redirect the transfers, clean everything up, put it together, then check compression. And at that point, the compression is, if it's below 140, I'll get the squish a little bit tighter on the cylinder head. I would like to be, you know, 0.8, but I don't think that's achievable without reshaping the dome here because the compression is going to be too high. I need a new chair. It's like keeps going full lowering kit on me. Okay, so I'm going to get on some gloves, and I've got the factory cylinder here. So what I'm going to do is redirect the transfers a little bit, and then just do some general cleanup. I kind of want to keep this a bottom end torque cylinder. So let's see here, just looking at everything. It's not great. Exhaust port's really small. This opening like tapers into a weird oblong oval for some reason, but yeah, big boost port, has some potential. Yeah, let's go ahead and start working on it. I'm not gonna bore you guys with just sitting here watching me do this. Just gonna show you guys a few things. The main tools we're using here are all Fordham, are tools for the Fordham. So all really good tools, all rebuildable, all serve a different purpose. You've got your small 90, your bigger 90, and then your 45. Those are really nice. They're quick disconnect, and then you've got your speed control right here. Then we have a Dremel, which is just typically going to be used for, use a Dremel for the exhaust port, and oh, that's interesting. Use a Dremel for exhaust port cleanup, and then just kind of cleaning up those hard to reach straight spots. If you see somebody posting about porting a cylinder with a Dremel, you cannot actually get to any of this stuff and do any real work with a Dremel. For one, they're not very strong for really carbon-weighted material. Two, you can't get to any of the stuff here, okay? So anybody who's just got a Dremel saying, oh, we do full porting services, they're literally just getting in here, just cleaning up transfers, cleaning up boost port, and cleaning up the exhaust. There's nothing else, as you can see, there's nothing else you can get to with the Dremel. You can't chamfer it, you can't really do anything with the Dremel. Just want to point that out. The Dremel does serve a purpose, but no, it's not a porting tool. These are what I wear because I'm getting old, so sometimes I'll wear these just to kind of see. So the metal is really difficult to tell exactly the shape you're making and make sure you're not going too far and seeing what's going on with the metal because you got reflections and everything. So it can be a real challenge, especially with these ports being so far down, you know, inside that cylinder, being that the cylinder, wow, that's kind of weird. Being the cylinder is so tall and the ports are smack dab in the middle, so it's well, they're not in the middle, but it's definitely harder to see what's going on. Another tool that I use is this little air-powered guy here, which is really nice as well. But this cast iron is going to be a bear to work with, I'm sure. I'm sure it's really good quality, but it definitely just takes a long time. Aluminum, you can clean up an aluminum cylinder really fast. Cast iron takes a long time. So we're going to go ahead and get suited up. Wear a respirator or a really good mask because this dust, you're going to be covered in it. It's going to be in your hair. It's going to be in your skin. It's going to be in your nose, your eyes, your fingers. This stuff just turns to dust and it sucks. It sticks to your body. If it's going to be a hot day, which today is going to be, it's going to stick to your skin and just feel all oily and gross. Just be prepared for that. This is not a clean thing. It's really nasty. It's really dirty. It's not good for you. Just try to do your best, and you know, I wear earplugs, I wear glasses, and then I wear a respirator of some sort because you'll end up doing this. Aluminum's just same thing, goes up in the air, you blow your nose and it's just like black stuff comes out your nose. So if you're a welder, fabricator, you're already used to this, but doing this stuff, just try to take some precaution before you go at it. We got the cylinder, well I got the cylinder off. I don't know how this thing was even running. If you guys can see that. This cylinder is just destroyed. Kind of surprised it had 120 PSI because it is in bad shape. And that port down there, I don't know what's going on with that thing, but it's pretty rough. This is what happens when you have air leaks, lean, who knows? I mean, look, it's like there's no gasket fell apart, so. Anyhow, that's that. The piston, again, I don't know how this thing was even running, but now it was even running making 7.5 horse, so she's pretty rough. Seen better days. Let's go ahead and get some new stuff put on this bike. Time to get our clean on. So what we're gonna do is clean this little gasket material off, and basically I'm gonna mount everything up dry. It's not gonna get Honda bond or anything like that. And the reason being, because we still have to check squish and compression. Doesn't make sense to Honda bond the base, have the cylinder. Your cylinder should stay stationary, but I'd rather just check everything, and then once I find out I like where it's at, then we can go ahead and take it back apart and seal everything up. I'm gonna go ahead and use some assembly lube on this puppy. Just nice to get everything all lubricated, if you will. Find our, what's going on here? Feels tight. Houston, Keep in mind, this is an OEM Kimco kit. It's not a Polini or Melos or anything like that. So, I'm sorry, Kimco, genuine. The quality's not great, but it's not bad. Make sure when you guys are doing your rings, some of these rings are gonna have an offset. They're gonna be offset one direction. If you do them the other way, they're gonna bind up and hit that locating pin like I just about did right there. Okay, now, where's my pin? Get our lube on over here. Okay, big shout out to little oil changing things. Paul got them, thinking they'd be great for scooters. However, they're giant and they're not good for scooters, but they're good for doing motor builds and stuff like this. God bless his soul. He tries. Hi, Paul.
Whoa, bro.
Whoa, bro, what, bro?
Right? Someone was like, oh, we're never gonna use
Because
these.
Paul's like, oh, these would be great for oil changes on scooters.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, you did.
Man.
1.6.
$2.
So we need a charger for it now?
It's $2 a month for 6 months.
Leasing. I'm leasing it with an option to buy.
An option to buy.
Yeah.
So you're gonna buy it for $6 after 6 months.
How much did you pay for it?
$8 a piece.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Perfect.
What?
Yeah, I'm gonna pay
You're
monthly
gonna pay
installments of $2 a month for 6 months.
and then pay $4 to own them.
No, it's $2 a month for a year.
No, it's 6
Because
months.
it's a lease.
No, it's a 6-month lease. We do it different here.
However, I
You gotta
can
make extra money.
return the lease and walk away from it whenever I want.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I could use it for 2 months for $4 and give it back to him. They could lease it back to me
But
later.
it's a minimum of 6 months. Yeah, 1 year lease.
But see, I'm also leasing these two lifts for $30 a night.
That's why I took everything home.
What was I doing? Dang it, you got me all distracted now.
Squish.
I did that.
Jump raffle.
Dog raffle.
Deep ruts.
Deep ruts. All right, compression is through the roof on this guy, which is what I expected, which is insane to me that before with this head, with the old cylinder, it was 120 and now we're sitting at like 208. I'm gonna pull the head, see if I can manipulate the dome a little bit to get that compression back down, because if I put another head on, squish is gonna be upwards of 2 plus. So I'd rather make this work. That being said, it's not the end of the world. This is the stock head I'm playing with. Yeah, let's see if we can get this dome reshaped. So we're getting there, 180. Got another, I want to get down to about 140, so got a little bit of a ways to go. I got the, ended up machining this down on the lathe. It's got some really bad pitting in the casting, but that's just the nature of these cast aluminum heads. I'm gonna go ahead and button this up. I'm gonna check squish again. It should be around 1.35, which is definitely a little more boring than I'd like, but seeing what I'd like to do on the next one is, instead of machining the head, I would rather machine the cylinder. I'd rather machine the cylinder to bring that squish where it needs to be and keep the compression around 140 to 155. That'll be the next step. This is a bit of a trial and error with the pipe and the carb, and do some carbon fiber reeds. I expect to see some pretty good gains. I'm hoping like 3-4 wheel horse and maybe a couple 2-3 more foot-pounds of torque, which would be a 50% gain without going up on displacement. That's optimistic. We're gonna try. Shoot for the stars over here. Perfect, 150. Okay, that's what I want to see. Now that I'm at 150, I feel really good about that. I'm going to pull the cylinder back apart, re-lube everything, drop the C-clips in there, Honda bond it, seal it up, intake's gonna come off, flip it over, and finish fabbing this pipe up. We can kind of check this off the list for for the machine work on the head and the compression and doing all that stuff. So this motor is gonna be taken apart, I feel like, several times. Put the cylinder on, clean it all up, take it out, pressure wash it. This thing is just nasty. Compression going from 160, or I'm sorry, 120 to 220. Yeah, so I went up 100 pounds with this cylinder. I don't know how that other cylinder was even running. No clue, but it was running. And it ran okay. It did shut off every few minutes and then turn back on, then shut off, then turn back on. But other than that, this motor feels crunchy too. Not sure exactly what's going on, but okay, C-clip in. The other side. All right, not ambidextrous, just try it with my left hand. Rattler's pretty cool. It's got the bigger wrist pin, which is nice. What I really like to do is make a kit that has an oversized piston. That would be ideal, but we're gonna start with this first. Ordered a clutch. We ordered a clutch. We're gonna see how that fits up here. Thinking about doing a PWK 24, 26, 28. I'm not super sure yet. And toying with the idea of staying auto injection, which I know is a bad idea. These cylinders aren't very expensive, let me say that. They're about 125 bucks for an OEM cylinder. Now, that's not with the head. That's just the cylinder, piston, and gaskets, 125, 135 bucks, something like that. They're not too bad. So if I blow it up, I don't really care because this is in the name of science, scooter science. So you probably cut up $200–300 worth of exhaust a month just making custom prototypes and custom pipes for certain things, because it's not made, you got to make it yourself. If you have a welder, I mean, even if you have like an angle grinder, honestly, or a sawzall, you can make a lot of custom stuff. So cylinder's clean, already hit it with brake clean. We have a bunch of videos on how to do the rings too, guys. It's really easy. Don't mess this step up when building your bike. It's very simple. We don't want to see you have issues because you rushed and didn't follow instructions. And this is common with pretty much every OEM bike, minus your liquid cooled bikes. They're all gonna have this stamped metal head gasket. You always want to use Honda Bond, Yama Bond, or like a 3 bond. Don't use the red RTV. It's not really made for doing this. There we go. Now we'll get to do the fun stuff. And that is the exhaust. Fab up the exhaust. Once the exhaust is fabbed up, I'll probably put it in the bike and or take a peek at the CVT. Check out her undercarriage, see how she looks.